This is episode number 55 of the Homeowner Show. Whether you're DIY or looking to hire, we're here to help you find the best information and options for you and your home. My name is Kevin Hackett, and here with me is Craig Williams.
Hello, and welcome to the Homeowner Show. We're glad that you guys could tune in, turn the dial. No one has a dial anymore.
No, you just, swipe up.
Yeah. You turned your phone on,
that's right.
And we were there.
Yeah, that's right.
But we're glad that you could join us. If you haven't yet, the content today is going to be amazing. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, the notification bell, whatever it is, whatever platform you're using. I think on Kevin's, it's like a donkey head or something. But you can click on that. And it'll bring you new episodes, hopefully, whenever that app's working.
It makes it super easy. That way you don't have to worry about whenever a new episode's out. Yeah. It's just going to come straight to your phone or whatever you listen, to our show on.
Yep. And so you can follow us there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the fun places.
Yep, we're there.
So what's going on, Kev?
Man, I'm just, it's been a weird day.
Yeah?
Yeah, just around here. I mean, we're in Houston and we got a tropical storm going on. There's flooding everywhere.
What was the official name of this tropical storm?
Alima.
It sounded Hispanic.
I don't know.
To me.
I don't know how to pronounce it. It starts with an I.
Starts with an I. We're in the I's.
Yeah.
The next one will be an H.
That's right.
It'll be Hector.
And so, yeah, it's just been kind of
I think it was Imelda.
Imelda.
That's it. That was close.
I don't know. We need to stop guessing.
It was Imelda. I heard it like 6 times on the radio.
Yeah, there you go. Other than that, I mean, things are good.
Yeah.
How about you?
Man, I am partially homeless.
Oh.
Yeah. So the entire downstairs of my home is now completely gutted.
Oh, it's finally happened.
We have no floors.
Okay.
No ceilings.
Oh.
And thankfully no more surprises.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the so now y'all? I remember last episode you said you're going to move upstairs. So now you're moving up. You've moved upstairs.
I've officially taken my in trouble position on the couch.
Okay.
As my regular sleeping arrangement. Although I'm not in trouble
this time.
I'm just voluntarily sleeping on the couch
at the moment.
Until I'm told otherwise that it's the trouble position.
When everybody's living upstairs, it's not going to take long.
That's right. It's close quarters. But so the bathroom's gutted, the bedroom's gutted, the living room's gutted, the entryway's gutted.
Okay.
All new floors are going in, all new ceilings are going in. It's just a big stinking chalky mess.
Yeah, I bet.
But I did learn that my house has 3 slabs.
What?
3 slabs.
3 slabs?
Yeah, I found 2 expansion joints and 3 narrow pieces of concrete running through the house. I mean, it seems to be sturdy.
Wow.
So that was a fun surprise.
So where is the 3rd slab?
Well, they're all parallel.
Okay.
And so there's kind of a free floating slab in the middle between 2 slabs.
Oh.
Yeah.
So is this in the bathroom? Is it in your bedroom?
No, it literally runs right. I mean, they're of equal proportion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna have to do? Just pour new concrete?
No. Yeah. Basically, I mean, because we're putting in new floors, they had carpet in before, so you really couldn't tell.
Sure.
And they had that nice bouncy padding. But they're gonna caulk it and then fill it with floor leveler.
Okay.
Yeah. So because they're coming back through with some wood floors.
So we're talking
tile.
like a 1/4 inch. Half inch?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's some other stuff going on that's it's not, you always run into surprises when you're doing this major of an overhaul, but we're excited, man, because the upstairs is pretty much done. Remember when we put in the Homeowner Show wall outside the studio?
Yeah.
And Brandy got mad at me because I didn't do anything like that in the house.
I do remember.
So I finished that today in the house. I put that wall up in the house for my son's bedroom. So she was really happy about that. So things are progressing.
Yeah, that ought to buy you a couple of nights.
Yeah. I mean,
off of the couch.
Where
you're still on the couch.
Some credit for my couch time.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, we actually have a really, really cool episode. We have my new friend Jacob in studio.
Yeah.
And his wife, who's refusing to get on a microphone.
Yeah.
But she's here. She just didn't want to talk.
That's right.
But we just wanted to acknowledge that because she got really, testy with me about getting on a microphone.
You're making her blush.
I wouldn't push her, Craig. She'll make you sleep on the couch.
But You may know Jacob if you are familiar with the show Forged in Fire, and it's on the History Channel, right?
Yes, sir.
So, and from season 6,
episode 15,
titled
Nagamaki.
Yeah. So and he brought fun props with him tonight. And so if you don't know what Forged in Fire, Kev, why don't you let everybody know what's going on here?
Well, so basically, it's a reality TV show. And, we've got so many different ones of those, but this one specifically is centered around forging,
right?
And around guys coming in. I don't know that it's all guys.
There's a lot of ladies too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to be gender biased here.
But you were.
I do it way too often accidentally. But I just use guys as like a general term, and I should
guys and gals.
That's right, guys and gals.
She won't be offended. She's a cool chick.
Okay, good. Well, there's listeners out there though that already hate me, so that's not helping. So anyway, just the show is about guys coming on and gals coming on and forging different things, and there's a contest, and whoever wins the episode wins $10,000.
Yeah,
that's a pretty sweet deal. And Jacob, fill in the gaps on what I missed.
Well, that's pretty much it. It's a competition show where either 4 or sometimes they do bigger shows where it's like master and apprentice, and I think they're coming out with one that's like husband and wife, and we didn't get in on that one time, which would have been awesome. But it's about 4 competitors. They come in, they give you 3 rounds of competition. You have to forge out a blade that they give you parameters on in the first round. The second round, you usually have to put a handle on it, and then they do a testing round. So if you're not eliminated by the first round because you didn't meet parameters, or they eliminate somebody each round. Okay. So like say you forge your blade out and everybody's is great. They pick the one that they like the least, or say you didn't meet the parameters, it wasn't long enough or it was too short, so on and so forth. They'll eliminate you. And then that's actually what happened in my episode. Steve Wayne, he's from New York, upstate New York, real cool guy, 30-year veteran of farriers. Now he runs Heather's Heart Forge, which is a school for bladesmithing there in New York. He's posting videos nonstop. I'm going to give him a little tag here. Cool guy. He came up in like half inch to an inch short in the first round. Wow. And I kept telling all of them, like, measure twice. Well, he was burning an inch because they give you these big metal rulers, and you know how it has like a 1/4 inch at the end of the ruler. Well, everybody burns an inch.
Yeah.
He burned that inch, but he didn't
add it
to the other end. Yeah. So he wound up being almost an inch short.
Wow.
So he was out the first round, and then me, Braxton, and Kyle made it through the second round, putting the handles on, which was probably my toughest round. I had trouble getting my handle on, to say the least, but I got it on there, and it looked good. And then they went into the testing, and Kyle's blade broke in the handle.
Oh man.
If his blade would have broke in the handle, he might have actually went to the finals over me, because his was a better looking finished blade.
Okay.
One of the things the judges said the most about my blade is how thin it was. It was a thin, narrow blade, and I forged it thinking I was going to make it wider, but then I just kind of got carried away on the press because it was my first time using a big press like that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And I met the parameters. They're like, we're going to chop into a 45-pound dumbbell with this. And this is like a kitchen knife. And I'm like, do your worst. And they smashed it into the dumbbell, and all it did was take a chip. But everybody's took a chip.
Okay.
When you take a piece of hardened steel and you smash it into cast iron, it's going to chip or break.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Kyle's broke in the handle. And so that advanced me and Braxton to the finale. And so what we had to do from there is they flew us home. We had 4 days at our home forge to make the Nagamaki. And I brought my sword thinking podcast video, but anyways, the Nagamaki is a type of katana. So in Japanese, it means long-handled sword. So it's like, think of a katana, and then think of the handle of the katana being the same length of the blade. And that's what a Nagamaki is. And it was the biggest undertaking I've ever made. Trying to grind it on my grinder, I kept hitting the ceiling of my 8 foot tall ceiling.
Wow. How long is this one?
This one is it's 30. It's about 5'4".
Okay,
it's a 5'4" sword or something.
It's like my height.
Yeah, it stands taller than my wife. So it's it's my favorite thing. And we made it to the finale. After we got it all back, we did the final thing of testing, and we went through all 3 rounds. He did extremely well. I did extremely well. The only thing that bummed me out is they cut through a boar carcass as the strength test, and his chopped through it, and then mine hit the spine, and I could hear it when he hit the spine, and it didn't chop all the way through the boar, and it broke my heart because that's all I wanted to see was that half of that boar carcass,
that clean cut, right?
Just fall to the ground, and it was a clean cut. And then we had the strength test was they had to cut through stalks of bamboo, and bamboo, if anybody knows, is a super hard, durable material.
Yes.
Both of our blades sliced through it like butter. And then the sharpness test was the last one. Obviously, neither blade took any damage, and the sharpness test was a breeze for both of us. And it really just came down to the finite details that the judges...
was the sharpness one where they're cutting? Is that melons that they're hitting?
They did cut melons. So they cut a tatami mat, which is like a traditional way of samurais or even people that are learning kendo, the art of sword in Japan, sword fighting, I guess you would say. It's how they demonstrate their swiftness and their accuracy. So I don't know if you ever watched videos. I've always been into that kind of stuff. I lived in Japan for 2 years when I was in the military. So I was super into all the martial arts and stuff. They take their sword out in like one swift move, and in like a blink of an eye, this thing is cut in half twice. And
like Fruit Ninja.
Oh yeah. But with an actual sword.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, these guys are bad dudes. So, we made it through.
Less insulting.
I get you. I've only played the game like once, so I didn't even think of that reference. So, we made it through all 3 rounds. Both of our blades survived, and it just came down to the finite details of the final, sword. My wife's shaking her head right now because she thinks I should have won. And his had a little bit more of a round handle. Mine's a little bit more oblong. So it's kind of thinner on the sides and a little bit longer. I think it feels great. For people with big hands, I think they've all told me it felt great, and it's very well indexed. You always know where the blade edge is. And then one thing I do really agree with him on is his finish grind on the blade was nicer than mine. I broke my first sword in my 4 days of forging. I broke my first sword on the second day, halfway through. So I had 2.5 days to complete a sword, and I wound up forging it out and getting it heat treated all in the second day. So I kicked butt that day, and it was a feat. Let me tell you right now, spending 35 hours in the forge straight.
That's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Jeez.
I mean, and luckily it was November when we filmed. So it was nice and cool outside. And if it was July, I would have died.
Yeah.
I mean, I forge nonstop all year round, and it usually gets up to like 120 something degrees in my forge.
Wow.
Roughly. And, it's brutal.
Yeah.
I can only do like a couple hours at a time at most, especially standing in front of the fire. If I'm just grinding or doing something like that, but standing in front of the fire, it gets pretty brutal.
I got to tell everybody, like before the show, I actually got to hold this one. It's gorgeous for one, and it feels really nice in the hand. But like, we'll put some pictures up on Facebook and Instagram, and so everybody can see what it looks like. Because I mean, it's massive.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that whole sword weighs less than 5 pounds.
Yeah. No, it's like, and it was really well balanced in my hand. I was like,
and that's one of the things that Dave Baker, one of the judges on the show, he held both of our swords at the habaki, and it balanced perfectly on his finger.
Oh, okay.
Both of them. And he was like, I'm impressed at how well you balance these blades. People try their hardest to do that, and this one, both of these blades are just perfectly balanced. So it was a good head-to-head match. I think he just came out on top because he had a little bit more time to do the finer finish work that if I wouldn't have broke my first one, I would have had the time to do that. Sure. So,
well, was this one of your first swords?
Yeah, that's the first sword I ever made.
Wow.
So like the longest knife I guess I'd ever made was 15 inches, and as a requirement for the interview process of the show, they tell you fill out a questionnaire. They ask you, have you made this? Have you done this? Have you done canister Damascus and stuff of that nature? And I
have no idea what that is. What is that?
Canister Damascus is where you take like a powdered steel and other either high carbon or low carbon steels, and you put them inside of like a square tube. You weld up both ends, you make it airtight, and you put it in the forge. You squeeze it and hammer it down, and then you peel the canister off, and it'll display a beautiful pattern. It really does. I mean, if you get it done right, like a lot of people like using ball bearings. So you get the ball bearings, you take off the outer coating of whatever zinc or whatever's on it.
Yeah.
And then you put them in there and with your powdered steel, and it'll look like a little polka dotted steel. It's awesome. It's I love doing canister Damascus. I don't do it often enough because I get busy with all my other projects. But
it sounds time consuming. Like, is it?
It's actually not that bad.
No.
Damascus itself is time consuming no matter what kind of Damascus you're making. Layered Damascus where you stack, two different types of steel. I use 1095 and 15 and 20. 1095 is high in manganese, which is what brings out the darkness in the steel. And then 15 and 20 is a high nickel content steel. So it has an opposite effect. So it has this really pretty contrast, and you can manipulate the layers, or you can manipulate the pattern a lot of different ways. One of my favorite ways is twisting it. You stack them up. I like putting it into a round bar, twisting it as many times as I want. I recently did 31 layers, twisted 31 times. And it has almost like a ladder look to it, but it's at an angle.
Okay.
So it really looks sweet. And if you do it right and you know what you're doing, you take your time with it, you can produce. I mean, there's some guys out there that make mosaic pieces, which is, I don't know if y'all ever seen mosaic Damascus. They make a pattern into a tile, and then like this pattern is an explosion pattern. Then they cut little tiles out of it. They stack those up and they weld them up to where it's a repeating pattern.
Oh.
So an explosion all the way down the blade.
Okay.
Those guys sell those blades for like $2,500.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of time.
Sure.
I watched a guy, I always suck down some YouTube hole, 40 minutes watching some guy make a sword. Watched one guy, Master Smith, can't remember his name off the top of my head, made a mosaic piece, like broadsword or something of that nature. Beautiful.
Wow.
Took him 3 months.
Oh my goodness.
3 months to do it.
For one.
Yeah.
One blade.
But this thing had gold inlay in it.
Oh, wow.
It was gorgeous. I was like, I don't have the time or the patience to do something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if that's all I did, like if I didn't have a full-time job and a bunch of other stuff, then yeah, I'd completely
Yeah.
I could squeeze out 2 hours a day to do that blade.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, here we are. We're about 15 minutes in, and I imagine a lot of people are going like, "Why are we talking about forging on the homeowner show?"
Oh, yeah.
And real quick, I mean, like, just so everyone knows, you do all this from your home.
I do.
You have a home forge
Yes, I
that
do.
you built, and got all the pieces and parts together. But like, take us back a little bit. How'd you get started with all this?
So I got started because of my grandfather. My grandpa Bob lives in New Waverly. He's a lifetime member of the Houston Area Blacksmith Association. They operate out of Magnolia now, and if anybody's interested, look it up. HabaIron.com. They have monthly meetings. You can go down there. You can just watch. You can learn. You can join. Great. They do a lot of ornamental stuff, so it takes you back to the basics of blacksmithing. That's where I started. My first thing I ever made was at a Haba meeting, the first one I ever went to. I watched somebody make a wizard head, and then I went out to my grandfather's forge and anvil that he had mobile for me, and I did it. And some of the guys in the association were like, "Man, this kid picked it up that quick. He can do something." So then when I told them, "Hey, I'm on Forged in Fire, you should watch it," they were all sending me messages like, "Man, we knew you were going to do something. You did really good." They're all really proud.
Yeah.
Well, so what? Real quick, when you say wizard's head,
So like literally, I took a piece of bar stock.
we're talking about like the head of a wizard, or
Yeah,
like?
so like the face of a wizard.
Okay.
So I took a piece of bar stock, you round the end, and I can still do it. I haven't done it in a while, but I could do it in the heartbeat because it was that memorable to me. You round you cone out the end of a piece of square stock. You roll it to where it's like almost like a needle point, and you roll it over to where it kind of looks like a wizard hat. And then you cut the lines in, and then you punch in the eyes. You cut out the mustache out of the corners to where his mustache comes out. You put a little mouth, and you cut in his little beard, and it kind of looks like me, but with a bigger mustache. If anybody, y'all don't know what I look like, I have a huge beard. And if it's not wizard yet, but give me a couple
I don't know.
years.
You're close. Yeah. You're not Merlin yet.
I'm not a grand wizard yet, but
It's not white yet either. So.
yeah. Well, I got some. The stress of working 3 jobs is getting there, so they're getting there pretty quick.
Yeah, I understand. I do.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So, so you started just because you had family connection,
Yeah.
right?
My grandfather.
So you decided to,
this is something I wanted to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And so what then did it take to get your forge set up? And is that something that just you were all in, and you just immediately started getting it all, or you just kind of acquired over time?
It took a long time for me to actually think, okay, I had it as a hobby and I did it, a couple times a month. I enjoyed making knives and stuff of that nature. And then at the time, I used my grandfather's for a long time. He had a forge, and we accumulated stuff together, anvils, tongs. He's a collector. So this man would buy, I'm talking like whole estate sales worth of tools and stuff. So he accumulated a lot over his lifetime, and that's how I got started into it. So I was very lucky. I didn't have to come out of pocket. And it wound up, he was like, all right, well, you're using all my materials. And, I was like, I'll give you money for it, but anyways, so it came down to where he wanted to get rid of the blacksmith shop at his house because I guess he didn't want room, or he didn't want me coming over there and making a mess or whatever, regardless. So I wound up buying all that stuff from him. And I wound up I bought it all like wholesale because I got the grandson discount. And I wound up getting rid of some pieces that I wish now that I wouldn't have got rid of, like a forging cone. A lot of blacksmiths won't know what I'm talking about. Perfect condition. I regret to this day that I got rid of it. It's just a big cone that you can make big rings out of. And anyways, I wound up selling a lot of stuff to kind of compensate for how much money I spent on it. And I built a carport in my backyard just on the dirt. And had a little coal forge, a little propane forge that I bought for like $150, an anvil and some hammers, and a trip hammer. Trip hammer was like hand actuated. I bought it from him for a good price. But before that, I just used all shoulder muscle, or I don't want to get into that. But then I really started thinking, well, I want to turn this hobby into something that can make me money, because it can be a very expensive hobby. If you're just doing it, you're not selling any pieces, and you're just doing it to have fun. The price of steel goes up every year. Coal goes up every year. Propane goes up every year. And the better you get at it, the more tools you need, because you're trying to do more and fancy stuff. And I'm still in that boat. I'm trying to hide from my wife right now. So my stepdad had a friend, Dana Turner. He lived in Northern California. He owned Fort Turner, which was all he did was make tomahawks and throwing knives. And he was out of the game for a long time. Couldn't forge because he had back problems, and he's been looking for somebody to sell his company to. So I got in touch with him. We talked for like 6 months, and finally I got a business loan. And my wife and I took some of the money from the business loan and completely built my whole shop. I mean, we did the concrete and everything. I'm the only one that's ever done concrete out of the 6 people that helped me. So it was my 2 sisters, my wife, and then my 2 best friends.
And that's hard work.
Oh, that is brutal work, especially in the middle of June.
Oh, wow.
So at least it dried
or was
quickly.
it May? I'm sorry. It was May. It was a brutal day of work.
Yeah.
And we got a nice pad, level enough. And it was level.
Yeah.
And we did a really good job. And then me and my wife took, originally I'd taken my carport out of the way, and we put my carport back. We put up garage doors so we can lock it up. We built an overhang on the back to where I do all my forging, to where it's partially outside. I have 2 open walls, so I kind of get a breeze going through there. And, it's, we did it all together. And besides the concrete, it was just me and her. So it took many a night after work. I'm a full-time electrical technician here in the Houston area. I work 40 to 80 hours a week sometimes. So it was many nights and weekends and just brutal hot days in the middle of the summer. And I couldn't have done it without her. So anyways, we got Dana Turner down. We bought all of his equipment, yet again, wholesale, because I wasn't going to pay, new prices for a bunch of old used stuff.
Yeah.
Bought all the equipment that he thought that I would need in order to start making tomahawks. Paid him handsomely for a month to stay with me and train me. I took a month off work, which I was so grateful that my bosses let me do this. Month and paid off work.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, they knew that it was a passion. They knew that I was like, hey man, I'll do it unpaid. Just make sure I have a job when I come back. And I feel like I'm a valuable asset to that company.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently a month off. Yeah.
So he came down. We spent a month just making tomahawks. That's all we did. Every day, starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. When did we do that? In July. So this guy's in Northern California. You know, he's just like, he lived in the mountains. A little bit of heat, you know, like 80, 90 degrees.
He didn't know this heat.
Oh my God. I was by like the 5th day. I was like, if he says it's hot outside one more time, I might throw him in the forge. And you know, he's one of those like super nice, charismatic guys, but he's at that level all the time.
Yeah.
At like 7 o'clock in the morning, he was, I'm gonna go back from the mic because I don't want to yell in everybody's ear, but good morning across the house. And I'm like, I'm not a morning person. I have not even opened the coffee maker yet. I will cut you if you start doing that again. My wife is trying to sleep and I don't want to have to deal with that. So it was an interesting time, a month, but I learned a whole lot. And I really appreciate Dan Turner to this day because, you know, I wouldn't be where I am without him wanting to get rid of his company and coming down and training me. So now I sell tomahawks and throwing knives, and I do custom knife work all through Bravehawk Forge. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And we actually have bravehawkforge.com. We sell all our stuff through that, all our products through there. So,
but that was the other piece that you brought tonight was one of your throwing tomahawks.
This is actually one of my, oops, sorry.
You good.
This is actually one of my battle tomahawks. So we have 3 variations. We have a throwing tomahawk, and then we have, 3 categories: throwing tomahawks, pulled tomahawks, which is like a utility style tomahawk with a hammer on it on the back end. And then we have our battle tomahawks. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a 4th one now. Our pipe tomahawks, which are, if you're looking for a showpiece, you don't want to like beat it up or anything. If you've ever wanted to have a peace pipe and then also have a tomahawk, which was very traditional back in the day, you know, look us up because we make some pretty cool stuff. But this one is one of my battle tomahawks. This is a spiked Valkyrie. I know we'll show you photos later of it. Its design is one of my 4 base models, the Valkyrie. It comes from Norseman times. So all of my tomahawks are based in the design form are based in a period of history. So we have the Buck, which is like a frontier style tomahawk. We have the Valkyrie, which is a Norseman style. I'm drawing a blank here. I know all these Iroquois, which is from like the Eastern United States during the Iroquois Nation. That was one of the designs we got actually out of a museum. We have the Francesca, which is a 14th century Frankish design. It's one of my favorites. It's the one my wife throws. I always try and get the ladies to buy it because it has curves. You know, it's super curvy.
It's a pretty.
Oh, it's lethal too, though, man. It's one of my favorite.
Just like a lady.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tomahawks just because of the way the blade swoops. If you know how to throw, you can stick that thing every single time.
Okay.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing, it's not that hard. I teach 4-year-olds how to throw tomahawks. So it's actually one of my favorite pastimes. I
never want to teach at that preschool.
Oh no! It's usually the cool parents to bring their kids to knife shows and stuff.
Yeah, the cool parents.
Yeah, you know, get them in there young.
Yeah,
you got to start them early. You got to, you know, in my opinion, when it comes to like hunting and knives and stuff, guns of that nature, the earlier you get them in there and let them know that these are dangerous things and like you got to respect these things, then the more, like, that's how I was. I shot my first gun when I was like 6 and it was a shotgun and it knocked me over. But I respected that shotgun. I actually own that shotgun now. It was a little 410 shotgun. I was a little kid.
Yeah, you won eventually.
Yeah. Oh, now I can be like, but I don't do it. You know what I mean? So I love it whenever the parents the parents want to come and play because everybody's a kid at heart and they want to throw a tomahawk and feel like Braveheart. I'm sorry, not Braveheart.
Talking about the Patriot movie.
The Patriot. God,
yes.
You know how many times I get that?
But it's Mel Gibson. He's in both of them. It's fine.
Exactly.
That's
true. Anyway, so everybody wants to come feel like the Patriot and throw it at a stump, and they're all trying to be all cool, and which I love because, you know, we do competitions. We charge, you know, a fee, $10 most of the time, unless we're working for a charity. If we're working for a charity, we charge a little more so we have money to give to the charity. And then whoever has the highest score at the end of the day wins a tomahawk. So, I mean, you're paying $10 and you're potentially winning a $100 tomahawk. So it's sweet. And then, you know, the kids were watching and they're like, oh, I want to play. And they come out there. We have this little like 13-inch pup hawk is what we call it, and it's real light. And I go out there and I'm like, all right, you got to do it this way. And they do it a couple times, and eventually they'll stick it. And the look on their face is like one of my happiest moments. I'll wait all day just to have one kid come in there and stick one tomahawk at 4, 5, 6 years old, and they're just like, yes, and they have such gratification. And I'm like, man, could you remember whenever you were like so happy about one simple thing in your life?
Yeah.
So,
and being able to react the way kids react.
oh yeah, they're like, yes.
I mean,
so
it's such a like just super natural, like, I love those types of reactions. It's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the way that a lot of people are feeling when they're calling Drone Quote now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when they call them out, they're getting the quotes on the roof, they're getting the quotes on the solar, and they're getting 3 separate quotes from 3 different companies. And so like the competition's built in right there. You don't have to go through all the rigmarole of, finding the right roofer, finding the right solar guy, interviewing them, and, checking their materials and all this kind of stuff. They find the guy for you.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, if you ever want an easy thing, this is easy. I mean, I tell you, one of the hardest things, in my opinion, to do is find a person to do a job for you, because you don't know these people, you don't know their reputation, and we've talked about that on our show before, about how you go and try to find people that are reputable. But this company, Drone Quote, they take all the questions out of that for you. They know who the reputable companies are. They're using them on a regular basis. They've got a relationship with them, and they're going to bring you the best quotes, and you know that you're going to have that at your disposal whenever you're making a decision.
Yep. And actually next week, Insinue and his business partner, they're actually going to come on the show and talk about how their business works and how they can help you find the right solar system, the right roofer, the right roof, all that kind of stuff. And it's just fun because, they're going to send that FAA certified drone pilot out, and they're going to fly that high-tech thing up there and get some really cool photos of your house.
And you get the photos.
I get the photos for free, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
As soon as y'all started talking about roofers and solar panels, my wife ears perked up real big, because we found out we had a leak in our roof this morning when this big storm came through.
Today's the day to know.
We've been talking about getting solar panels because we're tired of paying $200 a month in electricity bills,
right?
Minimum. So,
well, not only that, I mean, like, and
you know, government incentives. That's the whole reason I started. I saw some posts. I was like, oh, they give you a discount, huh?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. This is the last year for the big incentive too, because like next year, I think right now it's. And don't quote me on this.
I think it's 30%.
Something like that. And then like next year it's stepping down to like 26 and then 24 and then 20. And it's like they're stepping it down over the next 4 years, and then it's just going to go away.
Wow.
So it's like, if you're going to do it, like now's the time, because you're going to get the best tax incentives. My wife and I have been researching it for a long time. We're probably going to pull the trigger on it as well.
Yeah. And again, it's as simple as clicking on our link for Drone Quote, and they're going to give you the quotes. It's going to be so easy.
Yeah, perfect.
And what is their service costs for them to come out and fly it over?
Nothing.
Y'all know that?
Nothing.
Yeah. They get their money from
the best way I can like describe this to a person is it's very similar to
Google
like
Earth.
like a travel agent.
Okay.
Like a travel agent, you don't pay for a travel agent.
Yeah.
I mean,
they get
walk
their money
into a
from
travel
the hotel.
agent. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They get a kickback from the hotel, and Drone Quote is similar. They use their services as free. The company that winds up doing the work winds up paying them a percentage, and that's the way they get their money. So you as the consumer don't pay Drone Quote, and so it's just like someone coming out and giving you an estimate.
Yeah.
Hopefully people are giving you free estimates. If they're not, then you need to find someone else.
Exactly.
And it's a real simple process. They then go out, find 3 quotes for you, bring it back to you, and you have 3 quotes at your disposal to make a decision with.
That's awesome. We'll be probably hitting them up next week. She's already on the phone.
She's checking them out. Yep. No, awesome. They're good guys. Cool. We've enjoyed working with them so far. So yeah, but we've actually have like some events coming up that you're going to be a part of, and like you do these, so people can hire you to come do the tomahawk throwing.
Yes, you can.
And like for parties and events and all that kind of stuff.
If you want to hire us to come out for your birthday party, come out for your graduation party, whatever, hit us up on bravehawkforge.com. Either shoot us an email. It's actually under the Hire Us tab on our website. We're actually doing an event this weekend in Lake Striker Resort, which is in like Northeast Texas. I couldn't tell you the name of the town.
Yeah, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. Hey, from the pictures I've seen, it's gorgeous.
Sure it is.
She found us through our website, and then she also got referred to our website by another blacksmith that was on Forge and Fire who lives in that area.
Awesome.
So she wanted to have us come out, and she pretty much built a whole event around us coming out to do this tomahawk throwing competition. So I mean, that's, if you want to hire us to come out, come on, give us a call.
And I got to say, like, I've seen a lot of these axe throwing places popping up.
Yeah, it's like,
but the tomahawk's just cooler.
it's so much cooler.
Okay, so my 2 cents on that, because I don't want to get on this soapbox too much, but
We like soapboxes. Come on.
hey, so at those axe throwing places, you're getting a hatchet that's bought at Home Depot, Lowe's, weighs 4 or 5 pounds, meant for chopping wood,
Right.
chopping limbs off of trees.
Yeah.
My tomahawks, this tomahawk right here that I'm holding weighs 1.2 ounces.
Ooh, let me hold that.
I'm sorry, 1 pound, 2 ounces, not 1.2 ounces. That's just ridiculous.
I can carry that backpacking.
Yeah, so we actually make what's called the Trapper Tomahawk. It's one of our utility ones. We had sold one to a guy that lives in Las Vegas, a friend of my mom's. He's a big hunter. He took it into the Arctic Circle in his backpack, used it to butcher his caribou, used it to chop his firewood, used it to drive his tent stakes. Dude's bad. I mean, I don't know what I can say on here, but dude's an awesome guy. Sent us a bunch of photos, and it's 16 inches. It weighs less than a pound.
Let me tell you right now, that thing is sharp.
Yeah, be careful. Sorry, I should have.
No,
Forewarning.
I know how to handle knives. I'm fine,
Yeah.
but that thing is super sharp.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to take that somewhere and use it, you can use it.
This is our battle one. So, like I said, I was telling Craig earlier that our battle one, my predecessor sold a lot of them to the Rangers Regiment in Fort Benning. Is that right?
That sounds right.
I always say Fort Bridger because that's like a big rendezvous that's in Wyoming. Fort Benning.
I thought you were talking about Fort Worth.
No.
The Rangers.
No.
Arlington.
No.
Texas.
No,
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Nobody likes them.
I
got
take
an
that, Kev.
I got an Astros tattoo on my leg.
Okay.
Anyways, so he sold them to the Rangers Regiment, and they used them overseas after they got trained. They could use them in battle, and the spike on the back of that tomahawk is battle proven to go straight through a Kevlar helmet.
Whoa.
So obviously we don't have any gory photos of that, but if I did, trust me, they'll be on my website. I think that would be awesome.
Someone needs to test it out.
Yeah, I don't want to wear it. Put a Kevlar helmet on a
Wear this helmet, Kev.
Sure.
Kevlar helmet on a
Kevlar. It'll be
watermelon.
great.
That's right.
No, so yeah, our tomahawks, we do our throwing competitions. We actually, in a partnership with a bar downtown, I kind of jumped on the train of trying to make it more commercialized. Had an event for a charity. It was the Bearded Villains event, and I actually entered.
That's an awesome name.
Oh, it's an awesome. It's almost like a motorcycle club. So
Okay.
in order for you to join the I guess it's the group, you have to be a prospect, just like a motorcycle gang.
Okay.
And you got to show up to so many meetings and all this and that. But I'm so busy right now. I was like, I want to join really bad because I got a beard that's pretty fierce. And it's not even tame right now. I usually get it trimmed. But anyways,
Kind of reminds me of the one Kev got rid of this
And
year.
I had a good one.
yeah,
Yeah. I had to, well, anyway, we're not going to get in that.
rabbit hole. Anyways, so we were down there at Pitch 25 for that event. The owner saw us, loved what we did, saw how popular it was, kind of got on the bandwagon of, well, everybody else is throwing these up. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 places within a 50-mile radius here that's all they do. They sell you beer, they make you sign a waiver, and they let you throw a hatchet. Not a
That
tomahawk.
sounds awful.
Oh, it's great.
Beer and hatchet throwing sounds like a problem.
Well, if you don't know what you're doing,
Okay.
agreed.
Okay.
And they give them minimal training.
Unsupervised, I think is what
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much unsupervised. And whenever we do it, I set up a batting cage, and I'll have 2 lanes in the batting cage, 2 separate targets. I do 2 people at once. I used to only do 1, but it's way more cost effective, and the line's not as long. So I'll walk them through. I'll give each person 5 practice throws, training throws, where I'm, all right, you're too close, you're too far back, you need to keep your elbow up, you're trying to throw it like a baseball, flicking your wrist. I run them through all that, and then they get 10 throws for points. And like I said, whoever has the highest points at the end of the night wins one of our Tomahawks.
Cool.
So it's much more hands-on. It's super exhausting for me, especially like an 8-hour event. I'm just beat afterwards, all I'm doing is teaching people how to throw tomahawks.
Yeah.
But I teach them the right way, the way I was taught, and I'm pretty good at it. I mean, I could show you some videos where I can throw 2 at a time in one hand. I can throw 2 at a time at 2 different targets and with one hand.
Wow.
2 hands, 2 targets. I can throw from like 40 feet, which is about 3 rotations.
That's a good ways with it.
Yeah. It's like 12 yards.
Accurately.
Yeah.
So
that's a long way.
And I was going to ask you, because I mean, like, and you were talking about like some of the forms, like people flicking the wrist and all the different ways that people try and do it. The other thing that I noticed, and you mentioned this when you talk about axe throwing, is like, when you go pick up like a hatchet or an axe, usually from the store, they have like a curved handle to them. Yeah. And yours have a straight handle.
Yep.
And what's going on? What's the difference there?
So the reason a tomahawk handle 9 out of 10 times will be tapered towards from the head of the tomahawk down is because these are what's called a tapered fit. Oh, sorry. It's what's called a tapered fit. So on a hatchet, you put 90% of the time you put the head of the axe on top of the thing and you put a wedge in there, right?
Yeah.
This is made to come out. So rather than breaking your tomahawk, or it's not made to come out. Let me rephrase that. So whenever I put my tomahawk in, when I forge it, I forge the eye of the tomahawk tapered, just like the tomahawk handle. So when I hammer it down in there, it goes in as far as it can, and then it'll stop. And if I keep hammering, it'll crack. So this is a super tight fit. And the reason we do this is because it's for quick handle replacement. The one thing with tomahawks is most of the time, if you have a really well forged tomahawk, you're not going to break the tomahawk metal head itself. You'll break the handle. And there's actually games in Renaissance, not Renaissance. It's not Renaissance. Rendezvous, like old, timey rendezvous where they dress up and you can't have a cell phone, all that stuff.
Yeah.
They play games where it's
reenactments.
Yeah, there you go. You got to cut the handle of the other person's tomahawk.
Oh.
So like one person sticks it up there and the other person has to cut it off. Well, if you had a hatchet, your hatchet's done.
Yeah,
without you having another handle and another swedge and a saw to cut off the top, and you know what I mean? So with the tomahawk, you just pull you knock out the old handle, put the new handle in, hammer it in, you're ready to go again. So
how do you, what's the proper technique on throwing this bad boy then?
So a lot of people want to choke up. I always tell people you want it at the very bottom. See, so it's tapered, so you don't have to open your hand when you throw it. All you have to do is go forward and just barely loosen your grip, and it'll slide right out. So I always, when I'm telling people to throw, I have them start with a parallel elbow pointing at the target. You want your elbow to be parallel with the ground. You bend at the elbow to a 90. You raise the elbow, not all the way. You're not trying to stretch your back with it. You go about 4 to 5 inches, 6 inches if you're a big guy, and then you just snap forward, right? And then you just let go. So you don't snap your wrist like you would pitch a baseball. You just let it slide out of your hand. And if you're at the right distance, the thing about axe throwing, tomahawk throwing, 90% you need to know how far you are in order to know how hard you need to throw. If you throw the same way every single time, you can throw it from multiple distances without even thinking about it. So I can, like right now, I could go up and I can normally stick it on the first try from 7 paces or 5 paces. And then I can turn around and I can go, that's 1 rotation. And then I can go to 7 paces and I'll turn the blade around to where the blade is facing me and not the target. This will be 1.5 rotations. And it'll land to where the handle is pointing up in the air. And then I'll take another 2 steps back and I'll put the blade back forward. I'm at 2 full rotations. And then you just keep doing that math until, like I said, I can do it from about 4 rotations is probably my best.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah. But that's like over my fence. I got to like get way back and like throw it over my fence at my target.
Yeah. Your neighbors are like, here he goes again.
We live on an acre. So my neighbors are pretty cool. They're pretty laid back and they don't mind. When I first built the forge, I was like, hey man, I'm going to be making noise, but I promise to be respectful. I won't be doing it before 8 o'clock in the morning, and I won't be doing it anytime after 8 o'clock at night. I mean, I have a Big Blue Max 110, which is a pneumatic trip hammer. The thing shakes the ground.
Wow.
Oh, it's so awesome. If anybody out there that has ever done forging, or if anybody's ever even seen the show. So on the show, they have Big Blue, and they talk about it's the trip hammer, and it moves metal about 10 times faster than a human can. Most humans. Some people out there are just superhuman and they can swing a hammer all day and never get tired, but I'm not that guy. I could do my fair share, but eventually my shoulder and my arm was going to be beat. But my trip hammer, it never gets tired. I just got to get some more oil on it and make sure it has enough air and make sure all the things are tight, nice and tight. I can stay out there and forge on that thing all day long. So, but it makes a lot of noise.
Yeah. Well, you're hammering metal.
Yeah, exactly. What do you expect? And like I said, most of my neighbors are pretty cool. Nobody really complains.
Yeah.
Slip them a tomahawk every once in a while.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, one of my neighbors across the street, he loaned us his tractor so we could dig out the foundation for our
nice.
Yeah,
that is a good neighbor.
Yeah,
that is a really good neighbor.
I know. It's like, man, sweet. I don't have to rent one.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
No, they're not.
Trust me, I looked. And it would have taken me a lot more than a day.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so let's say like somebody listening to this is like, I've always been curious about getting into blacksmithing, into forging, and I'm wanting to get started. Like, what would be like maybe the few key things that they would need to really get going, to start their career, whether it be making kitchen knives or tomahawks.
All right. The three things you need in order to be a blacksmith, and I mean, this is proven all the time. You need a heat source, something that gets super hot. A lot of guys use propane. You can use coal. Coal's actually pretty cheap. It's about, I want to say like $10 for like a 40-pound bag.
Yeah.
$20 or something like that. I don't know. I just buy it in bulk. You can get coal forge, little air crank, hand crank air. It's super cheap. You can make one out of a...
No bellows?
Oh, actually, Cowboy over at Phoenix Knives, he has a giant bellows.
Oh, yeah?
And it is awesome watching him use it because that thing, it has the most perfect tempo of a coal forge. Like, I have an electric fan on mine, so, I mean, I can get my heat up going really good, but there's a point to where it gets too hot. With that bellows, he's in complete and total control, and it's just like one simple, easy hand move that he does with it. It's awesome watching him do it. So you need a heat source, you need a hammer, obviously, or something hard to hit it with. I wouldn't suggest using a rock. You might hurt yourself. And then you need something hard to hit it against. Yet again, I wouldn't use a rock because heat and rocks and hammer and stuff doesn't go very well. So a really cheap way to go is getting an old piece of railroad. A lot of guys use that. Or if you can find just a cast iron block, that works great. Anvils can be pricey. The better the anvil, the more expensive it is. Running rate a couple years ago was about $8 a pound. Mine is like 150, 165 pound. So, and mine's actually like a really more expensive brand from Britain or Europe. It's called a Pendleton. It doesn't have like the normal flat end. It cones out at both ends. So it's like one flat cone and one rounded cone.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you what they used it for, but it's a cool anvil. I kind of wish I would have kept the other one I had rather than selling it.
So it's not an Acme?
No, I wouldn't buy any Acme stuff. I've watched too many cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, he dropped them all the time.
Yeah, I'd be dropping that on my foot.
Good old Wile E. Coyote.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they obviously didn't work.
Yeah. Well, they worked to being hard and heavy, so.
No, they never got the Roadrunner. So.
Yeah. But those are the three things you really need, and then you just really need the passion. You need the passion to fail and be able to get back up, because I'm still failing on a daily basis. I was telling him earlier that I had a client. I was working in the shop today. Me and my wife were finishing up some products, and had a client's tomahawk completely done. Did the heat treat and had a stress fracture all the way down the blade edge. And that was like 2 weeks worth of work down the drain.
Wow.
And the final step. And it's a crucial step. It's the most crucial step. I had to start over from scratch. Yeah. So, we had to really hustle to get this guy's tomahawk order that he's been waiting on for a while now. but you just got to have the passion to fail and be like, all right, well, let me regroup. And I've ruined countless knives because I'll get too heavy on the grinder. My wife gets on to me all the time. I mean, it really has to do with, I have a really good grinder that I bought from my predecessor. And if I have it full blast with a full blast, sandpaper grit on it, 36 grit, and it chews through metal like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And so you just gotta have the passion to learn, the passion to fail, and the passion to keep going. Really.
Well, with the items that you mentioned, the heat source, the hammer, and something to hit it with. I mean, what could someone reasonably expect to be able to make with that?
Oh, you could make. I mean, there's guys out there that solely make knives just on a propane forge, which you can get for about $150. A railroad tie, which is like the flat part where the wheels roll on. And then just one hammer. I mean, you could probably get all that for like $500, and they make some beautiful work.
I'm sure you can find lots of YouTube videos online.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's YouTube videos for days on how to build a forge and how to build a propane forge versus a air assist forge, which I wouldn't suggest because you'll melt shit really quick. And when you start adding propane and air together, it's like you're getting into temperatures you don't need to get into.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do it at very cheap, you can go that route. If you wanted to spend $1,000, you could still get a really good startup forge and be able to make whatever you wanted. It just really has to do with the passion and how do I say it? Ingenuity. What's the word? What would be like the ingenuitive? That's not the word I'm looking for. Anyways, how creative, there we go. How creative you can be on making your own tools, because blacksmith tools, like really professionally made ones, are expensive.
Yeah.
And yes, please. It would be, it would behoove you to buy the better stuff, but at the same time, if you wanted to go cheap, you can. It's not going to be a big deal. Sorry.
Well, we're all thirsty over here. We're drinking some water. So sorry for the pause.
Yeah.
Well, I've recently watched a guy do some forging over the course of a week, which was really a lot of fun. And it's just you mentioned the word creative, and that's really what it really boils down to. I mean, this is an art.
It's an art form. And honestly, before Forged in Fire came, it was a dying art form. Now Forged in Fire has just ignited the bladesmithing portion of it. Okay. And I feel like there has been a couple different shows that have stemmed from it, more ornamental. There's one that was like Detroit Steel or something like that, or Philadelphia. Anyways, there's been a couple blacksmithing shows on TV that have gone away from knife making and more into ornamental stuff. Not competition shows, but like family shows. Like it's a reality show of this family that's their whole family is blacksmiths, and all they do is they make expensive art pieces or a fence gate for somebody. So it I feel like the ornamental part is thriving, but it's still kind of lingering at the backside to the knife making, because knife making has become so mainstream because of Forged in Fire. Everybody loves the show. I've known countless bladesmiths that have just started bladesmithing because they love the show so much.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, take some time, make those knives, make your money, do whatever you want, make knives, have fun, but take some time to learn some ornamental stuff. Make that little wizard head, make a scorpion out of a railroad spike, or, because when you do that stuff, it's like little trinkets. I know a lot of people don't want all that little trinket stuff, but it's cool. You made a little piece of art, and it may look like crap. It really might, but to you, it's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
You can make a beautiful knife, but you can't go out there and you can't, make a pineapple twist on a square stock, or, you can't make a little face and something. And most of the guys can. Most of the really good bladesmiths that have been doing it for a long time, they can make pretty much whatever they want. So
that's cool.
Before the show, you and I were talking about that bourbon company that was talking about coming to the knife show that we're going to get into in a minute. But I don't know if you know, it's called Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
And the reason it's called Heaven's Gate is because it's Bob Dylan's label.
That's what we were talking about.
And he's now gotten into gate making.
Yeah.
And he makes metal gates now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, which was why he was interested in coming to the show and that whole thing coming together.
We would love him, especially if Bob Dylan himself came out.
Oh yeah.
Have him as a guest judge.
So I haven't gone down the rabbit hole, but I really want to find like some pictures of some of the gates that he's made.
Okay.
Because that's apparently like he's not making music. So
speaking of the event, Mike will kill me because I've gone like 50 minutes without even talking about this show. Just talking about myself. Sorry, Mike. Mike's my partner. We are putting on the Texas Custom Knife Show. It's going to be November the 16th at Southern Star Brewery. It will be from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. The significant thing about this event is I have 28 Forged and Fire finalists, champions, contestants, guys that are on the first round and out. I have 28 of them coming. And they're going to be setting out their knives. Some of them are going to be doing demos. The real big thing that we're really excited about is we're going to be doing a mock Forged and Fire competition. Oh. So I have 4 to 6 guys already lined up. We're going to have equipment out there for them, forges.
Do you know who it's going to be yet?
Yeah, I've got a few of them.
Can't announce it.
I won't divulge that information yet. We're gonna
you got to come.
Yeah, we're gonna save that information a little closer so that we can kind of jump up the excitement for the event.
Must be good, y'all.
Yeah. So we're gonna have 4 to 6 bladesmiths do a railroad spike knife, and that's a pretty simple knife. Most of the guys can do them pretty quickly. We're going to give them a very short time frame, just like they'd have on the show, and then we're going to have a panel of judges, 3 judges. We're going to do very minimal testing. We haven't really decided on what we're going to do. We don't want to damage these blades. We're not going to be hacking them into elk bone or anything that would just destroy it. The reason that we don't want to destroy them is because all the blades that are going to be made in the bladesmithing competition are going to be put into our live auction, which is be directly after the judging. So anyways, we'll pick a winner. The winner will get something, and we're going to be cool and give like second and third place something. Not everybody's going to get a participation trophy. I'll give them a pat on the back. It's not this kind of an event.
A lot of sad blacksmiths, y'all.
It's not this kind of an event, and they know that. So after all the judging and everything's done, which we have actually Alex Middleton from 94.5 The Buzz, the Rod Ryan Show. He's going to be one of our guest judges.
Cool.
He does Pass the Gravy podcast. I don't know if y'all ever heard
him.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's going to be one of our guest judges. We might have somebody from the Chamber of Commerce on there. And then if Bob Dylan comes, I'm serious as a heart attack.
Yeah.
You let him know I want him as a judge, because that would kill. That would kill. I would blow Mike out of the water.
Wait, if I get Bob, do I get to come on as...
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
All right.
I'll let you do some of the testing.
Yes.
I'm the host of this event. I'm going to be the Will Willis. So
just have the ambulance standing by.
Just call him Fruit Ninja.
That's right.
Fruit Ninja. So after the judging, we're going to do a live auction, which all of the benefits of the live auction, we have a bunch of bladesmiths donating. Big Blue, the trip hammer manufacturer, they donated a bunch of tongs and stuff. All of those proceeds are going to go to Casualties of War, which is a Houston area veteran-based charity. They pretty much help veterans, first responders, active duty, anybody that's kind of, how do I say this? You get what I'm saying. First responders, veterans, anybody that's having troubles like paying bills or anything of that nature, they reach out and they help out. Either they get them with a organization that can help, or they give them the money themselves. So all of our proceeds are going to them.
That's awesome.
So right now we're looking at thousands of dollars. If people bid like I think they're going to bid, one of the guys, Dwayne Bennett, he built this hammer, and I would bid $300 on it, but my wife would kill me. It's a beautiful piece.
Okay.
So, people are going to be donating all kinds of stuff, and we're really going to have fun with that. And then, throughout the day, we're going to have live bands. Obviously it's Southern Star Brewery, so there's going to be beer.
There you go.
A lot of really good beer. I don't know if y'all have ever been over there, but they make some pretty good sweet beer. I know y'all are much closer to B52, but we're not going to get into the game war. We're not going to get into the Conroe beer wars, okay?
Well, I'll go ahead and throw this out. I didn't even talk to Craig about this. We could donate a podcast subscription to anybody who wants. We'll go ahead and throw that in for free.
That's right. Okay. Put it on the auction block.
People could bid on it, and that ought to be a hot piece.
Yeah, let's do it.
That's all I got, man. Well, what else have we missed? I mean, is there anything that you were kind of hoping to talk about that we hadn't asked you about?
No, man. I talked about Forge and Fire. I talked about the event at the very end there. Sorry, Mike. I talked about my business, and I pretty much hit it all.
Well, cool. Yeah, and we already asked you how you could get a hold of you, and we'll throw all that up in the show notes. And
cool.
So you'll be able to just swipe up again and find all that.
And all that stuff's on Facebook as well too, like the Texas Knife Show and the
Texas Knife Show is actually on the stickers. It's at TCKS or whatever. It's on somewhere on here at Texas Custom Knife Show, and it's on Instagram. And then you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, all at Bravehawk Forge or Bravehawk Forge. That's Hawk, not Heart. Hawk, like
caw.
Yeah, let's all start making bird sounds. My wife is cracking up.
Can they buy these cool hats that I got?
Yeah, we sell these. We sell T-shirts. My wife makes custom T-shirts. She'll do it any size you want. She'll put something goofy across the back, and if depending on what it is, we might charge you more. But that's just because vinyl is not cheap.
Yeah, no,
and neither is her time.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Well, cool. Well, we only have one last thing to do, Craig, and that would be the Final Four.
The Final Four.
So this is last four questions. Last four. I don't know why I said last four. It's the only four questions that we ever ask our guests at the end of each and every show. So these are just hopefully not too difficult. We'll see if you pass. First question is this: what's the must-have tool you won't leave your house without?
My knife.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a specific style, or did you make your own?
I made it.
Okay.
It was,
it's like a Jim.
I made a
Bowie,
Damascus knife.
Oh, there you go.
It's a little short with deer antler. I guess it's like a little short hunter. Sorry. Damascus knife. I made 3 for our wedding. We got married in January. I made one for me and one for each one of my best men, and it snowballed. And I made one for every male in our family.
Nice.
So
that's exciting for them, though.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
big deal.
they loved it. The dads and the grandpas loved it.
I bet.
I made them little boxes and stuff.
Cool.
They all like idolize it. And I'm like, that was good, but I could make it better.
Yeah.
I was in a rush. So
awesome. Cool. All right. Second question: what's a job you walked away from?
Well, we started to put up a new fence in our backyard so that we can get goats and chickens.
Okay.
And now all the fencing material is piled up in the backyard. They're like big cattle panels. They're piled up with weeds growing all through.
They're still there.
They're still there.
What happened to the
I
goats
haven't
and
walked
chickens?
away from it. Well, we're not sure if we're allowed to have them with our HOA. And yet again, HOAs telling me what to do. My house. No, it's cool. I love the HOA concept. Keep everybody from making the neighborhood trashed place.
Yeah.
So
like weeds growing up over wood and stuff.
oh yeah, or just cars on blocks. Hey, they can't see it. It's not wood. It's metal fence cattle. Okay?
Okay.
The wood would have rotted away by now. It's been forever.
So it's been a while.
It's been a while, okay?
You walked away from this job
I
a while
almost poured
ago.
some gasoline on it so I could just burn all the weeds away. But I was like, no, that's probably a bad idea.
HOA would probably get you for that.
No, I put burn piles in my backyard. all the
there you
time,
go.
So they wouldn't know.
There you go.
They can't see it from the road. They don't care.
They would all just be going, "What's he forging now?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, cool. Well, third question. What's well, that's not the question at all. I'm turning to Craig over here. He doesn't know the questions. Here's a question. How do you wind down at the end of a long day?
I usually sit on my either sofa or my chair and watch TV with my wife. Like,
Okay.
We're supposed to be watching Big Brother right now.
Big
but
Brother.
We're going to go hit that up as soon as we get home.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is that y'all's thing? Is
That's our show.
like
I mean, we just
reality
wind-
shows? I mean, Forge and Fire, Big Brother.
Oh, yeah, pretty much.
Have you watched your episode? Like how?
Oh, yeah, many times.
Do you have a hard time watching yourself, or do you enjoy it?
Oh, I enjoy it.
You enjoy
I
it?
think I'm hilarious.
Okay.
I think I'm one of the funniest people in the world, and I've been really like toned here.
Okay.
I haven't been too mouthy, I guess you'd say. I have a dirty mouth, and I've been trying to hold it back.
You were by far like the best dressed in that episode.
Well, thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that because I was so disappointed that Braxton won in a freaking hoodie. Like, you wore a hoodie, dude? You wore a hoodie? You wore a hoodie and you
Come on
won?
now.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Who are you, Bill Belichick?
Right?
No, you're not Bill Belichick.
No, a lot of my coworkers gave me a lot of crap about that. See, y'all catch it now. I was consciously thinking about it earlier, and now I'm not. They gave me crap. Yeah, they gave me crap about it at work. Like, oh, you wore a vest. You wore a vest to this Christmas party. Remember that really like frosty blue one you wore to the Christmas party a couple years ago? And they're like, that was so gay. And I was like, no, that thing was sweet.
Yeah,
it was Christmassy themed. I couldn't find like a red or a green one, so I got a frosty blue that looked like ice. And they're like, you looked so. You're like, you were wearing denim jeans. I looked awesome.
Forget y'all.
All the females in the office were like, nah, he looked super stylish. Like, y'all need to take a note from him. And I was like, see, what? Anyways, yeah, I like to wear a vest. Okay, get off my back.
That's funny. That's good. All right, last question. What's one of the best pieces of wisdom or advice you've ever received?
It would probably be from my mom, and it's going to sound super cheesy, but you can do anything. I've gone through many careers and jobs and everything, and she's always believed in me. Pretty much, you can do anything.
That's good.
Just stick with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't give up. And I've done it, and I own my own business. I've been on TV, and we're killing it.
Yeah, well, you said it earlier. I mean, and I think this is like a really, really important life lesson, which is don't be afraid to fail. I
mean, that one I had to learn on my own.
Yeah.
And my mom told me that when I was younger, but it didn't click. You know what I mean? That one, you just kind of, I'm only 30, but I feel like I'm aged well beyond my years because I've had, you have hardships and some people have more than others.
Yeah.
And I had my fair share.
Yeah.
So,
well, I just feel like that really goes hand in hand with you can do anything.
Yeah. And then don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah. If you're willing to fail and willing to learn from those things, you can do anything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
So cool. Awesome. Yeah. Craig, what are we missing?
Dude, that's it.
That's it.
I'm going to go make a knife.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, y'all are more than welcome. Come over to the forge. Speaking of which, I do classes.
Okay.
We charge for the classes, but if y'all want to come over and just hang out in the forge sometime, by all means.
Well, I'll stand outside of it.
No, you can stand in there, dude. I'm super safe. I only cut myself.
Hey, I'm in. Let's do it.
It's a lot of fun. You can make a farrier's rasp knife in like a day.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
Of course.
Cool.
Y'all got my information.
All right. Yes, we do. We're going to give it to everybody that's listening right now. So thank you for downloading the episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's been fun. So thanks for downloading the episode. Share it with your friends. And we're here every Tuesday. So until then, we'll see you later.
See ya.